The most chilling stepmother story you'll hear this year, and it's all true. Welcome to our storytelling channel, where every tale takes you on an unforgettable journey. If you're enjoying this video, drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. We love hearing from listeners all around the world. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a moment. A powerful new story is coming tomorrow, and trust us, you won't want to miss it. Liam Harper was only 10 years old when his world changed forever. After losing his mother to cancer, he thought the pain couldn't get any worse. But fate had other plans. Within a year, his father remarried a woman named Veronica, a strikingly beautiful woman with a soft voice and a smile that could convince anyone she was an angel. At first, Liam tried to believe she truly cared. She made pancakes on Sundays, packed his lunch, even told bedtime stories with the lights off and the door slightly ajar, just the way he liked. But all of that ended the moment his father closed the front door each morning and drove away to work. The moment Brian's car turned the corner, Veronica's entire expression would change. Her eyes, once seemingly warm, turned icy cold. Her voice dropped into a sharp, threatening tone. "Pick up your socks, clean the kitchen, and don't you dare touch anything in my office," she would snap. At first, Liam thought it was just stress. Maybe she didn't like kids. Maybe she needed time. But soon it became clear. Veronica wasn't just strict. She was cruel, calculated, and worst of all, no one knew. She started by isolating him. She locked away his toys, told neighbors he was too shy for play dates, and insisted he eat dinner in his room so the house would stay quiet. Then came the punishments. A spilled glass of milk meant no meals for the rest of the day. Forgotten chores led to being locked in the bathroom for hours. One time, when Liam accidentally scratched her car while playing with his bike, she dragged him by the arm and shoved him into the basement, a cold, unfinished room that smelled of mildew and dust. She locked the door from the outside and left him there all night. Whenever Liam tried to tell his father, Veronica always had an excuse. "He's just acting out. You know, grief does strange things to children." And Brian, exhausted and overworked, believed her. After all, Veronica kept the house spotless, cooked his favorite meals, and always had a sweet smile ready when he came home. How could she possibly be lying? Liam felt trapped, powerless. But even in the darkest corners of that basement, he never stopped hoping someone would see the truth, that someone would believe him. And maybe, just maybe, he'd find a way to make his voice heard. Because deep down, he knew that the woman smiling in the family photos wasn't a mother. She was a mask. And behind that mask lived someone far more dangerous than anyone could imagine. It had been 4 months since Liam first got locked in that basement. Since then, Veronica had turned the house into a silent battlefield, where every step he took felt like walking on glass. She rarely yelled anymore, she didn't have to. Her silence carried weight. A glance, a lifted eyebrow, the sound of keys rattling in her hand. That was enough to make Liam's heart pound. One afternoon, while she was out running errands, Liam dared to go into her office, the one place he was strictly forbidden from entering. He had no plan, just a gut instinct that something was there, something important. The room was spotless, cold, and smelled like lavender and printer ink. On her desk sat a silver laptop locked with a password, and beside it, an old wooden drawer slightly cracked open. Inside the drawer, Liam found a small USB drive. It had no label, no markings, just a black plastic shell. He stuffed it into his pocket and ran back to his room, his heart beating out of his chest. He waited until nightfall, when Veronica was asleep in the master bedroom, then crept into the hallway with the USB and plugged it into his old tablet. What he saw made his stomach twist. The drive contained folders named by date, each with video, clips, hidden camera footage, some from the basement, some from the living room. Every file showed Veronica, pushing him, locking him in, whispering threats through clenched teeth. But what shocked him most were the calls. In one video, Veronica was speaking to a man Liam didn't recognize, a man with a deep voice and a face barely visible on the screen. "He's a problem," Veronica hissed. "If he talks, it's over. I should have sent him off to that boarding school when I had the chance." The man laughed and said something chilling. "Just make sure he stays scared. Fear is quiet." Liam's hands trembled. This wasn't just about cruelty, it was control. A game. And he was the pawn. He knew then he couldn't wait any longer. He remembered the emergency email his dad once gave him. "Only for real. Danger," Brian had said. Liam wrote one short message. "Please help. Look at this, I'm not safe." He attached 3 of the most disturbing videos and hit send. The next morning, Veronica acted like nothing was wrong, made pancakes, asked how. He slept. Even kissed him on the head, but Liam stayed quiet. He just nodded, knowing something had already begun to shift, because now, for the first time in months, she wasn't the only one with secrets. And for once, he wasn't afraid anymore. The email had been sent. The videos were out. And now, Liam just had to wait. But waiting felt like drowning. Every minute that passed was a battle to keep his face calm and his voice steady. Veronica watched him like a hawk. She noticed the smallest things, how long he took to finish a glass of water, how his hands fidgeted when she passed by, how his eyes no longer met hers. She knew something was off. That night, she didn't go to sleep. Liam lay in bed pretending to breathe slow and steady, his back to the door. But he could feel her standing there just beyond the crack of light, watching, listening. The next morning, Brian Harper, Liam's father, returned home unexpectedly. His car pulled into the driveway hours earlier than usual. He didn't call. He didn't text. He just showed up, face pale, eyes stormy. Veronica opened the door with her usual rehearsed smile. "Honey, what a surprise," she said, stepping forward to kiss him. But Brian didn't kiss back. "Where's Liam?" "In his room, of course," she replied, blinking fast. Brian didn't respond. He walked straight past her and headed to Liam's bedroom. When he opened the door, Liam was sitting on the floor, clutching his tablet tightly in both hands. "Dad," Liam whispered, voice cracking. He stood up slowly, unsure if this was real. Brian knelt down, pulled his son into his arms and said, "I got your message. I saw everything." Veronica came rushing down the hallway. "Whatever he told you, he's lying. He's been acting out, Brian turned sharply, his voice like a blade. "Don't say another word." Veronica's face tightened. For the first time, her mask cracked. Within minutes, 2 officers from the county sheriff's office arrived at the house. Brian had forwarded the video files to them before he even stepped off the plane. They asked Veronica to come outside for questioning. She refused, tried to slam the door. And that's when Brian saw it, the basement key falling from her sweater pocket. "You said that door was broken," he said quietly. Veronica froze. With trembling hands, Brian took the key and walked toward the basement. The officers followed, flashlights in hand. As the door creaked open, the stench hit first. Damp concrete, mildew, something metallic. Then came the sight. Chains attached to a wall beam, a mattress with no sheet, a plastic chair with cracked legs, and a baby monitor camera mounted on a pipe. Brian's knees buckled. The truth wasn't just in the videos, it was right here, rotting beneath his home. Veronica was arrested on the spot for child endangerment, unlawful imprisonment, and aggravated assault. As the cuffs clicked around her wrists, she didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just stared at Liam, a long, dead-eyed stare. But Liam didn't flinch, because this time, she was the one locked in. The trial came faster than anyone expected. Within 2 weeks, Veronica stood before a judge in an orange jumpsuit, her wrists cuffed, her hair tied back, her face stripped of makeup, charm, and pretense. The courtroom was small, quiet, except for the scribble of pens and the soft tapping of laptop keys from reporters in the back row. Liam sat beside his father at the front, wearing a navy sweater too big for his small frame. He held a worn-out, stuffed bear, the only thing from his mother he still had. His hands were shaking, but his eyes stayed fixed on the judge. When the prosecutor asked if he was ready to speak, Liam stood. Everyone watched. He took the witness stand and sat down. Slowly, his feet dangling above the floor, the microphone was adjusted to his height, and the court clerk handed him a small glass of water, which he barely touched. Then, with the kind of quiet courage only pain could create, he spoke. She made me sleep in the basement. Locked the door. So I couldn't come out. I didn't have a blanket, sometimes no food. She said, if I told anyone, my dad would send me away too. His voice trembled, but he didn't stop. I was scared every day. She wasn't a mom. She wore a mask. But I still hoped she would change. Because I wanted to believe someone could love me again. The courtroom fell silent. Even the defense attorney lowered his eyes. Veronica didn't flinch. She just stared forward, unblinking, as if the words had bounced right off her. The judge listened carefully. After the testimonies, after the evidence, including the videos, the camera from the basement, and the voice recordings, there was little left to argue. The gavel came down hard. Veronica Lynn Summers, this court finds you guilty on all counts. You are hereby sentenced to 22 years in state prison, with no eligibility for parole before 15 years served. Gasps echoed around the room. Veronica didn't speak, didn't protest. She simply turned to look at Liam one last time, but this time, Liam didn't look away. As the bailiff let her out, Liam reached over and gripped his father's hand tightly. Brian looked down at his son, the boy who had suffered in silence, survived what no child ever should, and still had the strength to stand and speak truth into a world that often refuses to hear it. That night, they returned to a different house, his grandmother's home in Seattle. The air smelled like cinnamon and safety. There was a window by his bed, a blanket tucked around his shoulders, and the sound of his dad reading aloud from his favorite book. For the first time in a long time, Liam slept through the night, and, in his dreams, there were no locked doors, only light. Healing didn't come quickly. It never does. Even after Veronica was behind bars, even after Liam was safe in his grandmother's home, the nightmares didn't stop. Some nights, he'd wake, up gasping for air, heart racing, convinced he was still locked in the basement. Other times, he'd flinch at the sound of footsteps or freeze when someone raised their voice, even if they weren't speaking to him. But something was different now. Now, when Liam opened his eyes in the middle of the night, he saw a soft lamp on the bedside table. He saw his dad sitting nearby, reading or just watching over him. He saw safety, not just in the room, but in the people around him. Brian had quit his job, not because he had to, but because he needed to. He realized far too late that no promotion or paycheck was worth missing what really mattered. Now every morning he made breakfast with Liam. He walked him to school. They built Lego castles together, and sometimes when the house was quiet, Brian would apologize again, not with words but with presence. Liam also started therapy with a child psychologist. At first he was quiet, but week by week the words came. The truth poured out in drawings, in small sentences, in stories that didn't always make sense but always carried meaning. One afternoon he told his therapist something that made her pause. She didn't hurt me because I was bad. She hurt me because she didn't know how to love. That moment changed everything. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was understanding. At school, Liam joined the art club. He didn't talk much, but he loved painting, especially skies. Bright, open skies with no ceilings, no doors, just clouds drifting over endless fields. He painted a picture one day of a boy standing in the sunlight, holding a key in one hand and a paper airplane in the other. When his teacher asked what it meant, Liam smiled. It means I'm free now. A year later, Liam stood on a small stage at a local community event called Voices of Courage. It was organized by child advocates, and Liam had been asked to speak. He wore a clean blue shirt, his hair combed neatly to the side. Brian sat in the front row, tears already in his eyes. My name is Liam, he said into the mic, and I used to be afraid of the dark, but I'm not anymore. Because someone believed me, and now I believe in me too. The room erupted in applause, not out of pity, but respect. Because Liam's story wasn't just about pain, it was about survival. It was about truth breaking through silence. And it was about a child, once forgotten, who now stood strong, not just as a survivor, but as a voice no one would ever silence again. Liam's journey wasn't just a story. It was a mirror reflecting something far deeper. The strength it takes to speak up, the pain that silence carries, and the healing that begins when someone finally listens. If this story moved you, we invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you or someone you know ever faced a situation where the truth was hidden behind closed doors? What would you say to a child like Liam, or to the adults who didn't notice until it was almost too late? We'd love to know where you're watching from too. Our community spans across cities, countries, and cultures, all united by a shared belief that stories like this matter. Whether it's your first time here or you've been with us for a while, your voice is part of what makes this channel more than just a space for storytelling. It makes it a place for connection, healing, and hope. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell, because tomorrow, another unforgettable story awaits. And who knows, it might be the one someone out there desperately needs to hear. Let's keep the conversation going. Your comment could be the comfort someone else is looking for today.